Hi everyone. I did my presentation on the Irish language. Population speakers, it is the official language in Ireland and in the European Union. It is a minority language in Northern Ireland, which is owned by the United Kingdom. Irish is native to Ireland. It's also spoken in Canada, the US, and the United Kingdom. There's only about 107,000 speakers worldwide. 72,000 of those speakers are in Ireland, but only 20,000 people learned Irish as their first language. Irish is not used in Northern Ireland and not even taught because Northern Ireland is owned by the United Kingdom. And Britain sees Northern Ireland as one of their territories, so they should learn English instead of Irish. It's very frowned upon for them to learn any sort of Irish. So the history of the language, Irish was the predominant language of the Irish people for most of their history. The Irish people brought it with them from other countries, including Scotland and the Isle of Man, which led to other languages such as Manx. Irish has one of the oldest vernacular literatures in Europe. The Irish language decline began under English rule in the 17th century. The latter part of the 19th century saw a dramatic decrease in the number of speakers beginning after the Great Famine in 1845 to 1852. Irish speaking areas were hit especially hard, losing about 20 to 25% of their native speakers. This is caused by the fact that England owned all of Ireland at that time, and people that spoke Irish were usually in the poorer areas of the country, and they were usually very poor themselves, so they were unable to purchase food when the famine hit, unlike the English that were there, who were usually had more money and were able to provide for themselves. At the end of the British rule, roughly around 1922, less than 15% of the national population spoke Irish. Since the end of the British rule, Irish speakers have been the minority except in specific areas. There are ongoing efforts that have been made to preserve, promote, and revive the language by both the state and independent individuals and organizations, but with mixed results. The Irish language is not taught in the educational system in Northern Ireland because the United Kingdom sees Northern Ireland as part of their territories and such should only learn English. The only way it gets passed down in Northern Ireland is if parents teach their children at home. There are language developments and promotions in new media like television. And in Ireland, there's only a couple of English channels. The Irish government wants more people to learn Irish, and they feel as though if they put media in predominantly Irish, they will have more of a want to learn to speak Irish. So there is three distinct dialects of Irish. The first is in the north. It's called Ulster. And then the second, which is in the middle, is called Connacht. And then the third, which is at the south area of the island, is called Munster. In language family, it's in the Indo-European family, and then it goes to Celtic, Insular Celtic, Gaelic, and then finally Irish. The phonology of the Irish language, it mostly resembles its nearest relatives, like Manx. One notable feature is that consonants except the H come in pairs, one broad pronounced with the back of the tongue pulled back towards the soft palate, and one slender pronounced with the middle of the tongue pushed up towards the hard palate. The syntax, Irish is a VSO, verb subject object language, which uses two verbs of to be. Unlike English, Irish is a VSO language. So in English, we have SVO. So an example would be she loves him, but in Irish it would be loves she him. So one of the verbs, the copula, known in Irish as the anchopail, is used to describe the predominant identity or characteristics of a person or thing as opposed to temporary aspects. The adjective normally follows the noun. The possessive adjectives are the exceptions, but there are a certain number of adjectives and particles which may function as prefixes. So the morphology of the Irish language is that Irish is an inflected language having in its standard form the following cases: common, vocative, and genitive. In Munster dialects, a dative form persisted, though this has been largely discarded by younger speakers. The present inflectual system represents a radical simplification of the grammar of Old Irish. Irish nouns may be masculine or feminine, the neuter having disappeared, so they don't have any neutral nouns. To a certain degree, the gender difference is indicated by specific word endings, and in being masculine and og feminine. Another feature of Irish grammar is that it's shared with other Celtic languages is the use of prepositional pronouns, which are essentially conjugated prepositions. For example, the word for at is og, which in the first person singular becomes agam, at me. So the orthography is modern Irish typically uses the ISO Latin alphabet without the letters J, K, Q, W, X, Y, and Z, but with the addition of one diacritic sign, the acute accent over A, E, I, O, and U, known in Irish as the Synedith Fada long mark, Plural Sinte Fada. The letter V has been naturalized into the language, although it is not part of the traditional alphabet. In Idomaic English usage, this diacritic is frequently referred to simply as the fada, where the adjective is used as a noun. The fada serves to lengthen the sound of the vowels, and in some cases also changes their quality. For example, in Moostern Irish, like in Kerry, a is a or a, and a is a in law. Traditional orthography has been had an additional diacritic, a dot over some consonants to indicate lentition. In modern Irish, the letter 8 suffix to a consonant indicates that the consonant is lented. So the language status of the Irish language is that it is threatened. The language is used for face-to-face communication within all generations, but it is losing users. Sorry. Universities in Ireland are trying to promote the spread of the language by requiring the students to pass an Irish language test to finish their schooling. And most government jobs require the employees to speak primarily in Irish and English. As I stated before, it's very unlikely for anybody to speak Irish in Northern Ireland because they've been under rule from the United Kingdom for so long. And if they do speak Irish, it is usually in the poorer areas because they wanted to pass on their culture to their children. So many of the higher classes don't speak Irish, they speak English only. The lower classes are the ones that try and pass on the Irish language. And then in the Republic of Ireland, it's a little different. They have tried to revive the language a good bit. They try and put all their signs in Irish. Like I said before, their TV is in Irish. Also, their literature in certain areas is only in Irish. You pretty much have to go to the bigger cities to get a book in English. And then, all their public transportation is in Irish. So they are trying to revive the language because they realize it is losing a lot of users, and they don't want it to die out like Latin did. But I think it's going to be a long struggle for them to get where they need to be with the language. Thank you.